Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Paris this Tuesday, April 28, 2026, at 6:31 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Nava,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Corona,
Present.
Councilmember Rab,
Here.
Councilmember Vallejo,
He'll be joining us shortly.
Here.
Mayor Vargas.
Present. All right, thank you. Item 3 is our invocation. If you please stand and join us with Pastor Gregory McNair of the God's Harvest Community Church. And then remain standing for item 4, which is our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilwoman Nava.
I'd like to say good evening to everyone. It's good to be here, and I'm so happy to be alive. Let us pray. Gracious and eternal God, we come before you at the opening of this council meeting with humility and gratitude. We thank you for the opportunity to gather, to serve, and to seek the welfare of this great community. Your word reminds us of Jeremiah 29:7, where it says, to seek the peace and prosperity of the city. And so we ask for your guidance as we do just that. Lord, grant wisdom to every leader, official, participant in this room. Let decisions be made with integrity, fairness, and genuine desire to uplift all people. Where there is differences, bring understanding. Where there is challenges, provide clarity and solution. Where there is division, sow unity and respect. Help us to listen with open hearts, to speak with compassion, and to act with justice. May this meeting be productive, thoughtful, and guided by a spirit of cooperation for the greater good. We place this time in your hands, O God, trusting that you will lead us in the direction and into the right direction. And God, we ask you to send a special blessing to our dear leader, our mayor, the leader of this council and the leader of this city. In your holy name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Now please join me in saluting our nation's flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 5 is a report on closed session items. I'll call on Attorney Sultani to give us an update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met in closed session to cover 3 items. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2, in one case, no reportable action was taken. Same code section, subsection D4, 2 cases. In one case, the council authorized litigation. In the other case, there was no reportable action. And lastly, the council added a subsequent need item pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4, and there was no reportable action on that either. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6 is presentations and announcements. We have 4 of them tonight. So we're going to come down and we will go through all 4 presentations, and then we'll come back up to issue our comments to all our recipients. We'll be starting off with 6A, which is a recognition of the Spring 2026 City of Paris Citizens Academy participants. And this item will be introduced by our Director of Public Services, Sabrina Cervantes. So let's hear, Sabrina Chavez, I'm sorry. I already bumped you up to Senator.
That's okay. Do it anytime. I get it all the
So
time.
we'll let her give the presentation, and then that's when we'll go down, Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm here to present the certificates for participants who participated in the city's Paris Citizens Academy. The Academy is designed to educate and inform community members about local government operations, department functions, and city leadership. We did have 18 participants who attended 5 sessions throughout the month of April. We had all city departments participate to conduct an overview of their departments, including their functions and duties and services, as well as presentations by our city council, mayor, police, and fire. We hosted activities, surveys, and a walking tour of our newly renovated Fossfield Park. So again, we want to thank the participants for their time and commitment to attend all 5 sessions. We thank our city manager, council, mayor, executive team, and city staff for their participation in the program. And lastly, I thank our public services department team for the development and organization of the program. And with that, I'll defer to mayor and council for the presentation of certificates.
Thank you, Sabrina. My understanding is the 5th week was actually today.
Today, yes.
They finalized everything today.
Yes,
That's awesome.
we had 2 sessions earlier today and finalizing with today's city council meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, Council, step on down. Oh, okay.
List of names of the folks that aren't here. We've already pulled their certificates. These certificates are in order from this down here. There's 12 out of them. I'll give them to you one at a time. Oops, get rid of that right there.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off what the certificate reads. It's the same for all of them. So once I do the first, and at that point, we'll just call up the names. The participants will come up, you'll shake the mayor's hand, and then I'm going to have you go over to my left to my council, shake their hands, remain here for a photo, and then we'll take a group shot. And then family members, whoever's here, if you want to take photos, we only charge $5. Please don't stay back there. You can come all the way up front. Once the city's person takes the pictures, you're welcome to stay up here and take shots. So the certificate reads as follows: City of Paris Certificate of Completion, 2026, Paris Citizens Academy. It'll give the person's name. May it be known that the office of the mayor and the city council proudly recognizes, in this case, our first person is Alex Munguia, for successfully completing the 5-week Citizens Academy program. Through their participation, Alex Munguia has demonstrated a strong commitment to civic engagement and a deeper understanding of local government. The certificate is presented in recognition of their completion of the Citizens Academy and their dedication to the community involvement. The City of Paris commends this achievement and appreciates their continued interest in serving the community. We extend our best wishes for their continued civic engagement and contributions to the city. And this is presented on the 28th day of April. So Alex, if you're here, come on up. I hope I don't ruin this. Is it Asma Beth? Congratulations. Charlene. Feledier. Did I say that right? Feledier? Genesis. Jessica. Natalia. Nicholas. Raquel. Sterling Davis. Congratulations. Sebastian. And Patricia. So we did have some other participants who were not able to make it this evening, but I do want to recognize them by their names. We have Jessica Pacheco, Manuel Pena, Nancy Chacon, Cheryl Lee, Stephanie Navarre, and Alfonso Navarre. So let's give them a hand also for completing the program.
Where do you want to be?
No, you look good. You look really good. It's fine. But I want to see everybody's chin. So if you're directly behind somebody, just make sure you tilt a little bit. Okay? Awesome. You guys look amazing. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2. Nice. Drop those chins just a bit. There we go. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2. Keep smiling. Keep smiling. Nice.
Hang on, hang tight. Presentation to you guys.
Yeah,
City clerk has this, and then this is our employee.
they're all presentations at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, item 6B is a presentation in recognition of Building and Safety Month, and this will be given by Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor. This item will be presented by Arvi Dagatan, our management analyst for the Building Safety Month.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, staff, and members of our community. On behalf of the Building and Safety Division, it is my pleasure to present to you this year's Building and Safety Month, held annually in the month of May. So 46 years of building and safety. The International Code Council, or ICC, continues to champion education in action through the annual Building and Safety Month campaign. With a global mission of sharing knowledge on building standards and personal preparedness, this awareness campaign is going 46 years strong. And the Development Services Building and Safety Division is bringing this movement home as we join in advocating for this cause. This year's theme is Built to Last, emphasizing the safety in building and safety. And a safe community starts with safe homes. Week 1 of this campaign focuses on identifying safety hazards at home, in our daily lives, and implementing measures to protect ourselves. Safe buildings also start with the right information. In week 2, we invite the Paris community to be curious. City staff, from permitting specialists to building inspectors, welcomes everyone to ask questions. Let us share our wealth of knowledge with each other to make safety a community effort. Next, we prepare to protect. In week 3, we take a closer look at the intersection of safe architecture and community preparedness, with an emphasis on building codes to help keep safe. In the final week, we talk about accessibility. A community is stronger with accessibility. We promote an all-inclusive approach to building safety, encouraging communities to think of safety in the context of every person, regardless of age, ability, and circumstance. So, what are building codes? The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, defines building codes as a set of requirements related to the construction and use of buildings. Building codes specify the minimum requirements to ensure the safety and welfare of everyone. Communities with up-to-date building codes have a layer of protection against a wide range of hazards, and in some cases, adopting and enforcing building codes can result in cost savings through reduced insurance premiums and an increased eligibility for federal grant funds. But how do we join the campaign? First, we can start at home. Put safety into practice by checking your smoke alarms, securing your water heater, little things you can do to be safe. Next, let the experts help you. Again, visit us for any questions. Let's make sure your projects are built to last. The City of Perris is providing resources about the topic, and in the month of May, we will bring more information forward. For example, on the city website, you can learn more about the Americans with Disabilities Act and network with other agencies. We have a section about high fire severity zones to help you determine if your property is in that area and what that means. Finally, we have a link that takes you to the official webpage for this awareness campaign, with even more information about the weekly themes. You can access all these at the city website, www.cityofperris.org. And to close, the Building and Safety staff is sharing a token of appreciation with the City Council and the management team to commemorate this campaign. Again, I'd like to thank the Mayor, City Council, our management team, and the members of our community for this opportunity. We hope to see you all soon.
Thank you, Arvi. 6B is a presentation of a proclamation in recognition of Municipal Clerks Week. This will be introduced by our Director of Administrative Services, Ms. Saida Hamoskar.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, City staff, and our wonderful Perris community. May 4th through May 8th is National City Clerks Week. In honor of this important recognition, I would love to appreciate City Clerk Nancy Salazar and her longstanding leadership here within the city for her key role within the city and her public service to the Perris community. The City Clerk's Office handles city records management and provides many essential services to the Perris residents and to our staff, including, but definitely not limited to, there's a lot that we do in our team in City Clerk's Office. We handle public records requests, we process city resolutions, ordinances, legal notices. There's a lot of compliance management, Brown Act regulation management within our team and everything that we do. We execute city contracts, we record city contracts, other city documents are recorded by our team. Tonight's City Council meeting agenda, that is formed and processed by our team in City Clerk's Office under the leadership of City Clerk Nancy. Election services, campaign filings, and much, much more. So we have a lot of fun in City Clerks. Our team consists of our wonderful staff, Assistant City Clerk Judy Hani, who's in our audience, our amazing administrative technicians, both Christina Pedrosa and Heidi Flores. And I would just like to thank our team for their hard work, dedication, and for me, it is an honor and a privilege to work with such amazing professionals within City Clerk's office. Thank you.
All right, very good. If I can get the city clerk up here, please. No. You want to? All right, city clerk team, come on up.
Read that proc.
Okay, this is our beautiful proclamation. I'm going to go ahead and read it out. It's not too long. This is the 57th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, which is May 3rd through 9th. Whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of the local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing boards, and agencies of government and at other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality, impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the informational center on functions of local government and community, whereas professional municipal clerk continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education, programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Vargas, and the Paris City Council do hereby recognize the week of May 3rd through 9th, 2026 as the Professional Municipal Clerks Week. And further, we extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Ms. Nancy Salazar, and to all the professional municipal clerks for their vital services and performance and their exemplary dedication to their communities they represent, presented on this 28th day of April, 2026.
Mayor, council, and city staff, I just want to say this proclamation always goes to the ladies. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Christina. And thank you, Heidi. This is all you girls. I truly appreciate your work day in and day out. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Get you guys to turn in just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Here we go, guys. Ready, 1, 2. Nice. Don't hide your face. Here we go. Ready, 1, 2. Keep smiling. Drop those chins just a bit. Perfect. Got it. Thank you so much.
All right, finally, 6D is the City of Paris Employee of the Quarter recognition for the first quarter of 2026. This item will be introduced by Director of Administrative Services, Ms. Saida Moscar.
Thank you, Mayor. This item will be presented by Public Works Manager Lisette Hernandez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and staff. It is my privilege to recognize Hector Ledesma as the Employee of the Quarter. Hector began his career with the City of Paris in 2015 as a maintenance worker. Through hard work and dedication, He advanced to Public Works crew leader and most recently, Public Works supervisor. A progression that is truly well-earned. Throughout his tenure, Hector has taken the initiative in his professional development, completing public works courses at Citrus College, earning his applicator's license, and finishing his bachelor's degree, all on his own time. Hector is a natural leader who leads by example. He arrives prepared, supports his team, and treats every resident with empathy and respect. He consistently meets goals, introduces innovative ideas to help operations, and goes above and beyond for his colleagues and the community. Whether he's de-escalating challenging situations or volunteering his time to help those in need, Hector reflects the best of public services. One occasion that stands out is when the Veterans banners were installed on D Street, and we had some overgrown branches that were partially covering two of the banners. Hector worked with the resident, who was the proud mom of the both service members that were up on the banners, and he listened to her closely and helped her resolve the issue until she was satisfied. Later, she attended a city council meeting to personally thank Hector for his help. Outside of work, Hector enjoys spending time with his family, discovering new restaurants, working on cars, and tackling home improvement projects.
We allowed to cry? Just kidding. Good evening, Mayor Vargas and the City Council. Took a few notes just to make sure I don't miss anything. First of all, I just want to say thanks. This is big for me. I know a lot of times we like to say that we don't need the pat on the back with the long days that we have. I know I do, so I appreciate it. Fuel to my fire, it keeps me going, so I appreciate it a lot. But I could take all the credit if I wanted to, but I really got to give it up to my wife, who allows me to come into work just with a clear head. By the time I get to work at 6:30 in the morning, I don't have to think about anything else at home. She has it covered. She's taking care of my daughter, so I really just want to make that known. I appreciate you. She's back there. Then she has to hear me come home and rant, so that's another. I also have a few friends and family in the back, so my in-laws who still get up before me. I don't know how they do it, but they're exemplary. They work really hard, so thank you guys for being here. I also have some friends in the back that I really work with when it comes to spiritual guidance, so I appreciate them too for being here. My mom, who couldn't be here, she knows I love her, and she's exemplary too, just works really hard. My dad, who's no longer here, I know he would be proud. Apart from that, my coworkers just make it a fun place to work. I'm not making that up. Like, I come to work and I'm laughing all the time, even with all the challenging situations we have. So that helps keep me going too. And I really just want to give it up to my leaders too. When I walk into the offices, they spin the chair around. They give me all the time. I think I ask for a minute and it turns into a 1-hour conversation. Bryant, you know this. Lisette, you know this. So thank you for that. That's all part of the investment. I thank you for that, and hopefully I can pay that back. In general, to City of Paris, I've gotten the opportunity to say this a few times, but I really couldn't say anything other than just thank you. I started here when I was just a youngin' that didn't know much about maintenance, and they invested in me. They gave me the opportunity to grow. They paid for my bachelor's degree. They allowed me to make mistakes and still have a job. So what more can I say other than thanks? I don't have anything other than gratitude for the City of Paris. I've been here 12 years, so hopefully that shows that I appreciate it. I'm not looking to go anywhere else. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To the Paris community, I'm here to serve, and just glad to be here in the community that I live in, too. I think that's it. That's about it.
Well, I always say, Hector, if you can't come to work and have fun, I mean, what's the point? So I'm glad to hear that you're having a good time. So we're going to give you the certificate, Employee of the Quarter, which reads Hector Ledesma, the honor of the Employee of the First Quarter. May it be known that the Employee Recognition Committee hereby acknowledge Hector Ledesma for his dedication and unwavering commitment to the city of Paris. Your efforts are commendable and greatly appreciated. Presented on this 28th day of April, 2026.
Yeah, we're gonna grab a picture. Oh, my, no. Yeah, my dad.
Come on.
Is that the little? Yeah.
You want to do what your parents said?
They said you could bring whoever, and I took you up on it.
Bring it on.
Jose?
Wherever you want it, but give me your phone. Oh, yeah. That's what I love them. Remember, it's only $5 a head. Oh, hide my head.
All right, guys, everybody look this way. Beautiful. Keep smiling. Ready, 1, 2. Nice. Try to stay as still as possible. Here we go. Ready, 1, 2. Beautiful. I got it. Good. All right.
Okay, we're not quite done yet, Hector. So in addition to your certificate, we're going to give you a $150 gift certificate to Amazon. It gets knocked down to 75 because you and I go together.
Uncle Sam, huh?
Yeah. And on top of all that, I'm going to give you a key to the city.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Here we go. Ready, 1, 2. Nice. I got it.
We're good. We're going to go up. We'll make some comments. I know you folks are probably dying to go home, but give us a couple more minutes. Okay, we're going to, all right, so please queue in, if you, and I'll call you guys up as you queue in. We'll start with Councilman Rab.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. I'd like to first start off by thanking Hector Ledesma, or congratulating him for receiving Employee of the Quarter. Public Works Department is a firm department that provides a lot of services in the city of Paris, and you've been a key component of that department over the last 12 years. Also like to congratulate City Clerk Nancy Salazar, along with their city clerk staff for City Clerks Week. All the things you do, public records requests, passports, processing, filing election documents. It's a true gambit of things that the city clerk's office does. So once again, thank you for all the work you do for the city of Paris. And then lastly, just want to congratulate all the participants and awardees of the Paris Citizenship Academy. I hope you learned a lot regarding the inner workings of the city, and you've also got to see the newly renovated Fossfield Park, which is truly amazing. So once again, thank you for dedicating 5 sessions and over a month of your life to learning about the ins and outs of our great city. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Vallejo.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would like to say thank you to Hector. I've heard that you have been doing amazing work and being here since 2015. I think that's like what 12 years. So I hope you really don't go anywhere. If not, we're gonna track you down. But really, thank you so much for all that you do, because public works is really hard work, and don't really know what you guys do, but I've seen it around, and I'm like, okay. So thank you, and thank you for your family too for coming out, because this is such a huge accomplishment for you all. Thank you. Also, I would like to say thank you for, thank you to the Paris Citizens Academy. You guys are the first ones, so I think that's awesome. Thank you for really taking the initiative and to sign up, because as a whole team, we all wanted to do what's best for the residents. We wanted to make sure that you guys know what really goes on in the city. And if you guys are ever interested in working here, please do, because it's a great place to work at. And we all hope that you learn so much, and then you can let everybody else knows that we are just trying to make Paris as best as we can. And if you want to run one day, please do, because we always want young or fresh people, or just people with new ideas that can really make Paris become great. So thank you for becoming future leaders and role models, because we are all looking up to you, and thank you for taking all those courses. I appreciate you all. And then lastly, thank you for Nancy and all the city clerk team. You guys do a bunch of work. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of clerical. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this is like a team of 4, and they do so much for our city as a whole. So I appreciate you all. Please keep on doing what you're doing. I've spoken to all of them, and they know every answer. Every question I bring up to them, they're like, oh, it's this. So we are very excited to have you all. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. To the first cohort of the Citizens Academy, congratulations. Just with you coming up here, I was very impressed of how nice everyone was, and how well mannered and educated you all were, and it seemed like you all got to know each other too. So I think it's so important for our residents to be educated on the city's workings, and I look forward to us doing it again. And if there's any way to improve it, please send me an email at mcorona@cityofparis.org, and just give me your input. Just tell me how it was. Was it good? How could we make it better? And I'll definitely pass that along. So I'm looking forward to doing it in the future. I also want to give special recognition to my colleague, Councilwoman Vallejo, for bringing this up to the city, and I think it was a good success, and hopefully we continue to do it. Mr. Hector Ledesma, thank you so much from our entire community. We are very thankful of all your hard work. I've heard nothing but great things about you. I always see you as hardworking. Always, seem to be happy to be at work. So thank you so much, and to your family as well too. To our city clerk, Nancy Salazar, and the rest of the team, thank you for all the hard work you do, and congratulations. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. I also would like to congratulate our Citizens Academy participants. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned much. And I look forward to hearing any feedback as well to make this a better program. But you've set the tone, so thank you so much for your time and dedication. And for our Building and Safety Month presentation, that was a very thorough and welcoming presentation. I know sometimes with the busy lives we lead, we tend to put some things on the back burner, but obviously, nonetheless, this is a great reminder for our residents to go ahead and take some time to focus on that. And like you said, you're always welcome to any calls and emails or whatever it may be, because I know we have questions, right? Like I know my fire alarm needs battery and electrical, and there's a reason why you should have both. So it's very important to make sure that we have these presentations yearly. So thank you so much. To Nancy Salazar and her municipal clerks team, thank you so much for everything you do. It's very important work. So I appreciate you that you take it very seriously and work diligently. And of course, making sure that our agendas are set every time we meet is something that is very critical, right? And this is the reason why we're here today. So thank you all so much. And Mr. Ledesma, thank you so much for everything you do. I really enjoyed hearing your speech. I felt like it was compelling and heartwarming, and I really appreciate you giving us insight into what it is that makes your time here enjoyable, and as well as having the support of your family and your network. So I'm sure they're all very proud of you. And thank you again for everything you do. You play a very critical role here in our city. So thank you all and congratulations.
All right, Citizens Academy participants, congratulations. As I told you when I was on the first day when you guys started, I'm used to these from back in my prior history days of work, because normally it was spread out once a month, so it could be anywhere from 5 to 6 month program. And you guys knocked this off 5 weeks in a row, so I commend you for your dedication and your commitment. It's not easy to do something every week for 5 weeks when you have family, if you have work and things to do, and yet you still gave up your time leading all the way to this day. So you guys have been here, I think, since 4 o'clock, so I'm sure you want to go home. So you're probably saying, hurry up, Mayor, and get it over with. But congratulations, and you are our first class, as my colleagues mentioned here. If any feedback to send our way, so we can make this even bigger and better every time we do it. So again, congratulations to all of you. Public Safety Month, Arvi did a great job. Still here? Good job on your speech, buddy, or your presentation. You did a really good job, and I appreciate everything that the Building and Safety Department does. I know you're not probably one of the most well-liked departments from our community members when it comes to codes and getting things passed and permits, but you know, there's a reason for everything, and safety is the utmost priority. So thank you, you and your team, and all you guys do in building and safety. Madam Clerk, thank you for all your service. Turn around, Nancy. Thank you for all your service, for everything that you do for us up here at the dais, and for your lovely team out there in your matching turquoise or forest green shirts. I love it. Thank you guys all for all what you do for the city as well. And I know this is a busy time right now with the election coming up. Those are just one of your facets that you guys have to do. So thank you all for everything. Mr. Ledesma, Hector, sir, you are an inspiring employee, going up the ranks that you have done, what you have done, even going to college and getting your bachelor's degree while working. And I truly do love when you mentioned about coming here and having fun, because if I haven't cracked the joke by now, I mean, it's all about you got to have fun at what you do, folks, right? Granted, there's a time and place for everything when, you know, in other words, when you're not supposed to be joking, but, you know, it's nothing worse than going somewhere where you don't want to be. But if you can come to work and be happy and have fun, that means we're going to get a lot out of you, and we appreciate that, and I'm sure your colleagues do too. So thank you, Hector. This was a well-deserved an award, and I'll see you on the website with Amazon. All right, that's it for that one. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll allow a few minutes to let you guys clear out the room if you'd like to leave. Okay, moving on. Item 7 is our Youth Advisory Committee communications. This report will be given by Shaina de las Alas, our Vice President.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and city staff. My name is Shaina de las Alas, and I am honored to serve as the Vice President of the Youth Advisory Committee. I am pleased to provide several updates on behalf of YAC. YAC is excited to announce our monthly open mic night with a movie night this coming Friday, May 1st, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The open mic portion will be held at the Statler Youth Center, followed by the movie at Bob Glass Gym. In addition, YAC will take part in the Cinco de Mayo event on May 2, 2026. We invite everyone to come celebrate the Mexican-American culture with us. Our next YAC meeting will take place on Tuesday, May 5, 2026, from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers. We welcome youth who are interested in leadership, civic engagement, and community service to attend and learn how they can get involved. Lastly, the YAC application for the 2026 to 2027 term will close on Friday, May 1, 2026 at 7 p.m. Please turn in all applications to the Statler Youth Center or at yac@cityofparis.org. Space is limited, and we encourage eligible youth to apply and take part in serving their community. As always, we encourage our community to stay safe, stay engaged, and stay connected. For the latest updates on YAC programs and events, please follow us on social media at Paris YAC. Thank you for your time and continued support. We truly appreciate your partnership in helping make Paris a vibrant, welcoming, and inspiring place for youth and families. Thank you.
Thank you, Shana. Okay, item 8 is our public comment. This is the time when any member of the public may bring a matter to the attention of the mayor and the city council that is within our jurisdiction. You'll have 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Felix Gonzalez?
Hello, my name is Felix Gonzalez. I'm not a resident. I'm a resident of Sun City, but I drive through Paris all the time, and I noticed they covered up Cesar Chavez. I'm here in defense of Cesar Chavez. Okay, as a Vietnam War veteran, we have a lot of respect for the dead. We don't dig them back up, and accuse them of this, that, and the other. Same thing with Cesar Chavez. What happened in history is history. It should be done and over with now. But big business is out to attack the raza, because I know Mexican folks do not dig up people to accuse him of stuff. Okay, that's why they have Dia de los Muertos, to respectfully respect the dead. Okay, when the dead is dead, let it go. No, but that sounds more like big business out there to attack the only Mexican icon left in existence. The only guy that stood up against big business and said, no, you respect us. You pay us our proper wages as you would anybody else. So when I seen that plastic cover on top of Cesar Chavez, I thought, wow, what is this? People forgot the respect? They waited 6 generations to come up with this accusation that he raped some lady. And of course, it's coming from New York. That's where all the big business people are. She said that he raped her twice and got her pregnant twice. I don't know any lady that's ever been raped and come back for seconds. That's totally illogical to me. And every Mexican, I grew up in East LA, and every Mexican woman that ever had a child did not throw them away like a piece of trash. They did anything to take care of that child. Even if she had to carry her on her back while she's working out in the fields, she kept that child. She fed that child. She did not give up that child and throw it away just because she didn't like it. This lady is looking to take over his glory. Cesar Chavez fought hard for us, each and every one of us. He fought for our respect. It's time that you people start to learn to respect him and his name and what he did. I was there on Whittier Boulevard when he was over there. I met him. I spoke with him. To me, he didn't sound like that kind of guy, What he did sound like, though, is a man that would fight for our rights to be treated equal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yolanda Tovar.
I don't have clippers today, okay? Anyway, Honorable Mayor and City Council and members, I just want to say, I don't know if you got this paper. I think you're getting it now. Anyway, it says, with blessings from heaven above, may the Almighty guide you and help you. First, remove the name on the library, please. I, Yolanda Tovar, have been here in Paris 80 years. I've been here all my life. I knew Cesar Chavez. I wasn't happy what he was doing. He was just causing the farmer to lose. The farmer rather let his crop dry because he made more money that way. Because he wanted them to buy everything, even toilet paper. I mean, we could buy our own toilet paper. I worked in the grapes, so I met him. I met the man. And whatever this woman has said, maybe it's all related to money. But I knew the man. First of all, I knew a lot of farmers from here. Chayo Villegas was a person for the people. He gave them a lot of work. This was field work. He was up early, getting fields ready for the people to work. He was a good man. He bought a army barracks, one for himself, one for his parents. One on First Street, one on Second. Anyway, I'm familiar with the Villegas family because I live on First Street. And Mr. Villegas Sr. planted trees on the 395. And this was many years ago. Now it's converted into the 215, but it was just a 2-lane highway. Anyway, I also knew a lot of great farmers. Charlie Mott and Johnny Mott, brothers. Norman Hughes, another potato person. Mr. and Mrs. Underwood. He had onion fields. Miss Underwood had a dress shop here in town. There was also Clark's, and we worked for Kenny Ray in the onions. Those were the clippers I had last time I was here, that I worked for Kenny Ray. He was the field boss. There later on, there was Borgia Brothers, Bunching Onions. He also lived on First Street here in town. And there was the AJ Ranch. He had a lot of vegetables going. Anyway, they were very, very famous, great people. And I think the library should be.
Thank you, Ms. Tovar.
Remy? That is all.
Thank you. Item 9 is our approval of minutes. 9A is consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on April 14, 2026 of the City Council and all the other entities as listed in our agenda. There are no comments or questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Councilman Rabb, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 10 is our consent calendar items. Consent calendar items are normally acted in one motion. The mayor or the city council may remove an item for a separate or discussion. We will have public comment limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Council, anybody have anything they want to pull? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. A motion by Councilman Rab, second by Mayor Pro Tem Corona. Please call the vote.
By vote, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 11 is our public hearings. 11A is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order approving specific plan amendment 25-00006, which is continued from our April 14, 2026 City Council meeting. This is a proposal to amend the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan requiring a conditional use permit and the City Council approving for warehouses and distribution centers larger than 50,000 square feet in the light industrial and general industrial zones. This item will be introduced by our Development of Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This item will be presented by Rafael Garcia, our Principal Planner.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council. As you indicated, this item did previously come before the City Council for consideration. On December 9th, the City Council unanimously approved the zoning code amendment, amending the city's zoning code that would require a conditional use permit as well as City Council approval for any warehouse over 50,000 square feet within the light industrial as well as the general industrial zones. The purpose of the amendment was to enhance oversight over large industrial projects and to ensure compatibility with surrounding areas. During that meeting, that zoning code amendment was approved, but the specific plan amendment that's before you tonight did not go before you on December 9th. At the time, this amendment was not able to come before you due to procedural requirements with tribal consultation. That process has now concluded, and this item is now being brought back to the City Council for consideration. As you may recall, this involved requiring a conditional use permit for warehouses over 50,000 square feet within the light industrial as well as the general industrial zones, and it would require City Council approval. Previously, these types of projects would only require a development plan review, and the level of review would be considered by the Planning Commission only if there was no legislative item. The amendment before you tonight is for the specific plan amendment in order to require this conditional use permit, which would also require the item to come before City Council. Staff is recommending that the City Council make a finding that the project is covered by the Paris Valley Commerce Center EIR pursuant to CEQA Section 15162 and exempt under 15061B3, and approve specific plan amendment 25-00006, amending chapters 2 and 3 of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan to require a conditional use permit for any warehouse over 50,000 square feet in the light industrial as well as the general industrial zones. That concludes the presentation. Staff is available to answer any questions that the members of the council or the public may have pertaining to this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. The public hearing is still open since our last meeting. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any additional requests to speak from the public?
No, sir.
Very well. We will close the public hearing at 7:30. I'll rely back to our dais. Anybody have any questions or comments? Councilman Rab? Oh, you're making a motion already. All right, well, it looks like we're going forward. I have a motion by Councilman Rab, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Please call the vote.
By vote, motion approved.
Okay, thank you. Eleven B is consideration to introduce the first reading of ordinance number next in order and proposed resolution number next in order related to a specific plan amendment 26-00001 and zoning code text amendment 26-00001 A proposal to amend the citywide zoning code, Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, Downtown Paris specific plan, and the Green Valley specific plan to establish a minor conditional use permit process for lower impact uses. This item will be introduced by Kenneth Fung, our Director of Development Services.
Again,
Or
Mayor,
like
this is-
Rafael Garcia.
Yes, presented by Rafael
Thank
Garcia.
you.
Good evening once again. Before you tonight for your consideration is the minor conditional use permit process. There are a few actions that are being taken. Number one is to amend the zoning code, and the second is to amend 3 different specific plans, which I'll briefly go over for council consideration. So in 2023, the city's strategic plan outlined an opportunity to streamline development review. Staff has developed a policy framework to hopefully address that. As part of that, one of the things that we want to make sure the city council is aware of is that currently a conditional use permit is required for conditional uses. The current code does not make a distinction between low and high impact uses, and a lot of the times this leads to an increase in processing time for these types of applications, even though they're typically low impact uses. These are typically reviewed and approved at the planning commission level, and they don't necessarily obviously make it to city council. What staff is proposing tonight is a minor conditional use permit process to improve efficiencies while maintaining an appropriate level of oversight. This would apply to the city's zoning code, and it would also apply to 3 different specific plans, including the Downtown Paris specific plan, Green Valley specific plan, and the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. Purpose of this is to include a more streamlined review process in order to reduce processing time and maintain zoning compliance, as well as support economic development as part of this streamlined process. This item did go before the Planning Commission for consideration, and it was approved unanimously on February 18th. Now, the process for this minor conditional use permit is that it would be processed administratively, meaning that it would be reviewed and approved at the staff level. It would apply to what is deemed more low-impact uses, uses that have a lower likelihood of creating impacts on the neighborhood, on the surrounding neighborhood. It will still require a 300-foot public notice requirement, and it will require approval from the Director of Development Services. As part of this, there's a wide variety of land uses that have been identified that would qualify for this, including things like arcades, drive-through services for banks and pharmacies, microbreweries, skating facilities, and veterinary services, amongst others. Staff is recommending that the City Council find that the proposed amendments to the zoning code and the specific plan are adequately covered by the corresponding specific plan EIR, and that no further environmental review is required pursuant to CEQA Section 15162, and that the zoning code text amendment has been determined to be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA Section 15061B3. With that said, the Planning Commission is recommending that the City Council find that to adopt the resolution and to make the finding that the project is adequately covered by the corresponding specific plan EIR, and that no additional environmental review is required pursuant to the Environmental Quality Act, and approve the specific plan amendment to amend the 3 specific plans that were outlined today to establish the minor conditional use permit process based on the findings contained, and introduce for first reading the ordinance, finding that the project is exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA Sections 15061B3, approving the zoning code text amendment to amend the zoning code and establish the minor conditional use permit process within the zoning code. That concludes the presentation. Staff is available once again to respond to any questions that the City Council or members of the community may have pertaining to this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:35. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:36. And back to the council. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, or a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Rab, a second by Councilwoman Nava. This is for a motion for the first reading of the ordinance and the resolution.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 12 is our business items, which do not require a public hearing. 5A is consideration to receive and file and provide feedback on the Paris Historic Theater operation and funding analysis. This will be introduced by Director of Public Services, Ms. Sabrina Chavez.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. City Council directed staff to proceed with an operational and funding analysis of the Paris Historic Theater located on D Street in downtown Paris. Staff solicited the professional services of Ox Architecture, and I'd like to defer now to Brian Wickersham to present an update of this analysis.
Thank you, Sabrina, and thank you, Mayor Vargas and City Council. It's great to be back and to provide a brief update on the work that's been happening on the Paris Theater project. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brian Wickersham with Ox Architecture. Last year, we were brought in to look at 4 scenarios for the Paris Theater, looking at a restoration, small addition, large addition, and then a larger, more ground-up style project on the same site. At the direction of council, we brought on Victus Advisors, who is a financial advisement company that focuses on community theaters. And they've started to put together a report that I'm going to provide a brief update on today. This is looking at industry trends, comparable theater analysis, usage and revenue, and partnership and funding. The report, as it is today, is about 60 pages. In about 2 months, we'll also be presenting the findings of the partnership and funding analysis. But for today, we're looking at the basis of the numbers that we've been looking at. From the report that we provided last year, what we've been able to do is start to look in greater depth at some of the things that are going to be the metrics that impact the funding of this. And one of the big things is looking at additional funding as it relates to the theaters that we looked at previously. What we found on a deeper dive is that most of the theaters in the area, of the 50 theaters we looked at, are operating more as a community benefit, and so it's operating as a cost to the communities that they're in. The exceptions to that is the Center Theater in Escondido, which has about $16,000 of revenue, and the Historic Hemet Theater, which is about $35,000 in revenue. And so really what we're seeing in there is that most of these theaters are costing the communities they're in about $200,000 or $300,000 per year in operating expenses. The next thing that was in the report is that Victus reached out to entertainment industry people about the potential to use the theater. This was largely promoters that operate in the area. What they found is that there was a relatively good demand for theaters in the 300 to 500 seat range. And so based on the feedback from the different promoters and our understanding of the community groups that would be using the theater, what we're seeing is that we would project about 145 days of usage on the theater, and that equals out to about 38,000 residents that would be using the theater within the year. And why that's important is that starts to play into the revenue, ticket sales, but also concessions that we would expect to see. And that is what we see here. So from an operating revenue standpoint, there's a lot here, but really what this tells more than anything is that the number one revenue source for a theater like this is going to be the concessions. And so across the board, we're seeing about $300,000 to $500,000 in concessions over the first 5 years, sort of operationally looking at an average of about 300 seats in the theater. And what that works out to when you look at the operating revenue less the operating expenses is it's going to be around year 3, you're going to hit the low point, which is about $100,000 of expense to the city, so fiscal impact to the city. But that averages between $200,000 sort of at the outset. It'll be a little bit more expensive when you open, and then it starts to decrease over time. And then the last bit here that we wanted to share, we looked at 4 schemes initially, but what we found is that the first 3 schemes, the restoration and the smaller additions, the revenue on those is going to be about the same because they're all around 300 seats. There's less than a 10% difference in the total number of seats. And so really for the scenario that we're running at the top, which is the $25 million scenario, that revenue is going to be very similar for the schemes that are between 7 and 10 million and 10 and 14 million. That revenue is going to be about the same because the number of seats are the same. The only difference that we would propose to the schemes that we presented last year is that in schemes 1 and 2, which are the smaller renovations and additions, we would want to find a way to increase the concessions in those. So that would be one design revision that would come out of this data. We'd probably want to look at the city buying a food truck or something that's parked adjacent to the building. That way the revenue from the concessions goes directly back against the operating expenses. But really between schemes 3 and 4, which is around $25 million, and the $48 million schemes, there's about a $200,000 delta between those two in the total fiscal impact for the city. So again, over the 30-year period, at year 30, we'd expect for the $25 million scheme about $500,000 in net expense to the city. And for the $48 million scheme, that's about $788,000. And so again, all of this is based on the data that Victus has been putting together. And really what that is leading towards is a series of recommendations on funding opportunities, partnership opportunities, and how that initial investment can be put together by the city through grants, philanthropy, naming opportunities. And so there's a whole series of opportunities that they'll be laying out that we can talk about. And that will be in the next council meeting when we start to look at the sort of bigger, broader impact of the initial expense up front. And that is my presentation. I am better at photos and pretty pictures, so that's my numbers for today. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, did we have any public comment?
No, sir.
Council, do we have anything? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. If we could go back a couple slides to the who runs with the Hemet one? So the concert promoters, those are just promoters, but they don't operate. Do they operate the actual theater?
Most of the time, the promoters are working with the landlord, and in this case, to be working with the city. So you'd enter into an agreement with the different promoters, and they would host their events there. And so you'd have a different structure with each of the promoters.
Okay. Now the theater at Hemet, I just feel like we're kind of similar in demographics. We're also similar. I mean, their theater looks looks comparable, I guess, to ours. How much does it cost to rehab it?
I don't think they've completed their rehab yet. When we met with them a little over a year ago, they were preparing for a large-scale renovation.
Okay. And are you familiar with how they're funding that, or?
The larger report has more detail on how the funding works. Right. We do believe that there is some subsidy that is happening there that might be distorting that $16,000 of profit, but it's a little bit hard to tell because everyone reports a little bit differently on how the revenue works.
Okay. And did all the theaters did they choose to kind of keep that slanted floor, or are they more like an auditorium?
Of the 50 theaters that we looked at, I think probably 10 or 15% had a flat portion of it, like a kind of a pit area. What Victus is recommending is that the city, if we're to move forward with this, that you would go with something that has maximum flexibility. So that front section of seating, maybe that's retractable. That gives you the opportunity to set it up for tables and do different types of events. Gotcha. That was in their list of recommendations.
Right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Rabb?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas, and thank you for the presentation.
whoever's operating the Hemet Theater, I think Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem made a very good point. We're similar, comparable demographics. I really like that they were in the black in terms of operating it, so maybe we can do some more research on how Hemet operates, because I do think we are very similar to them versus Temecula or Yucaipa or Escondido. So that's just be my comment. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. I also just want to chime in that I had the opportunity to meet with our Youth Advisory Committee, and we were chatting about, Councilwoman Vallejo also joined, and we were chatting about many things, but the theater was something that they kept reverting to. So just my words of recommendation, because they did submit a letter to me, is I feel like there has to be a need, even if the city is to be able to front some of the costs. I do feel like there is a big need and a big advantage in order to make the space community connection and a benefit to the city, to make sure that while some of them are in the hole, I like I said, I do think that it is worth it, even if the city has to allocate some funding. I feel like not only for our youth, but for all ages, this would be very well needed in our community. So those are just some comments. Thank you.
Councilwoman Vallejo.
Yes, hi. I had two questions and one of them I can't remember, so I'll tell you one of them. I know you mentioned earlier that your team suggested that if we get a theater that's retractable, so then it can be used for many uses. Do you remember what's the square feet of that, or like what would fit in there?
When it comes to theaters, we always think of them in terms of total seats, because that's the direct revenue correlation. In the smallest versions that we looked at, to get the ADA, the accessibility upgrades, and the fire life safety upgrades, we were around 250 seats, working within the theater footprint as it is. So that would be about 125 seats where you would want those to be retractable, would be how I would think about it.
So it's 250 seats, but the 150 would be gone if we do the retractable?
Yeah, that's the way to think about it. And there are other ways to set that up, but I think the main note is the flexibility is going to be very good in the community.
Perfect. I also agree. I guess the question that I had more is, in this slide, that a lot of them are operating a good amount of loss in their income. I'm surprised that Riverside loses a good amount. If I go to like many of their events and, they have a bunch of bands playing stuff, what is the major cost that drives these net losses with all these theaters?
It really is the operating expense. And I think you'd find that there's a maintenance component over time that will add up. But the single biggest thing is going to be staffing. It's going to be paying for the payroll of the staff that are in the theater. And whether or not that is full-time staff for the city or that is people that are coming in on a per event basis, that'd be something we would want to talk about, what the structure of that is. But with the number of events that they think would be feasible for the theater, having some full-time staff is going to be a necessity, because you're going to need people working on booking every single day of the week.
That makes sense. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
So I toured, I think it was the economic development team or with Sabrina. So we went to quite a few places. Can you go back to the slide that shows the different cities? Yeah, there you go. So like Temecula, they had a private person, if I'm not mistaken, a company running the show, running the theater. It's not ran by the city.
It was our understanding when we met with them that the city was subsidizing the staffing of it. I believe it is a nonprofit that is in place for Temecula and for Riverside, if I'm not mistaken.
So, yeah, I mean, I just think I agree with Councilman Rabb and Mayor Porter. We need to focus more on cities our size, theaters our size, and see what we do. We need to do some more research or bring back. I can't compare us to Temecula and Riverside, and I'm only referring to the size of the city, the population. That's what is going to be drawn there. So We need to focus more on reality with the same size of Paris and see some raw numbers there.
One thing that I will point everyone to in the bigger report is that what Victus is seeing from the promoters is because of the central location of Paris, they actually think that this will be an opportunity to draw from the greater area.
Good.
And so that was not surprising to us, but that is part of the reason that the revenue is looking as good as it is that the promoters think that it's so centrally located that it's going to work very well.
Yeah, and to add to that, wasn't there a theater that was closing nearby? And so they feel that if we were to renovate Paris, we would be able to attract some of those customers?
I don't recall which theater might be closing, but they did.
Escondido one, I'm not sure. But it was
What was that?
I think it was the Escondido one, but I'm not too sure. But like you mentioned, they did say that this was a good centralized location. And the report was very well written, is very thorough, so I really appreciate reading through that. And the fact that they mentioned that the city of Paris was very specific with the type of events that they'd be able to host. So I really appreciated that report. And like I said, I think even if it's not too profitable, I think it's worth investing into just because we need a space like that here in our city. So appreciate that. And thanks for the report again.
Yeah, the hope is that we're providing the data that council can use to make the right decision, so. Any other questions?
Anybody else? All right, this is basically receive and file. I look forward to seeing the next progress report, if you will. All right, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
All right, 12B is consideration to discuss and provide direction to staff related to limiting the number of additional gas stations. This will be introduced by Director Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. This item will be presented again by Rafael Garcia.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council. Once again, as you indicated, the item before you tonight is for your consideration. A potential item to receive additional direction from the City Council to potentially limit gas stations. As you may recall, on February 24th, 2026, Councilmember Nava directed staff to research the regulatory approaches that have been applied by other cities to potentially limit the proliferation of gas stations. The directive is in response to the recent increase in the number of development applications that have been received by the Development Services Department. This presentation is going to summarize the number of gas stations within the city, and we're also going to outline some of the frameworks that we were able to find from other jurisdictions. So currently, gas stations are permitted with a conditional use permit through the zoning code within the community commercial, the general commercial, as well as the BP, the light industrial, and the general industrial zones. So for the most part, in the commercial and industrial zones, they are currently allowed with approval of a conditional use permit. That conditional use permit is not something that is guaranteed to come before City Council unless there's a legislative item. Those applications are reviewed and approved at the Planning Commission level. Gas stations are also allowed in the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, and they are outright permitted in the commercial, light industrial, as well as the general industrial zones with a development plan review application. Again, those applications would be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. And if there's no legislative item, then that's the extent of the review. They are also allowed with a conditional use permit in the BPO zone in the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. There are currently no unique design or development standards that are specifically applied to gas stations based on the zoning code or any one of our specific plans. Currently, the gas stations are required to comply with the development standards of the underlying zone, and those are the only requirements that are unique in nature that would apply to the gas stations. Now, overall, you have a chart that was provided as part of the agenda item. Based on staff's review, there are a total of 23 existing gas stations throughout the city. They are shown in red, just for council's consideration. And there's also an additional 8 gas stations which have been approved but are not yet operational. Those are shown in green on the chart. Upon completion of those additional 8 gas stations, there would be a total of 31 gas stations throughout the city. Now, the city staff identified these gas stations on a map just to make it more easier to understand exactly where these gas stations are located. And overall, in the northern portion of the city, everything north of Placentia Avenue, there are a total of 6 existing gas stations, and there's 4 which have been entitled on top of that. In the central portion of the city, which is downtown and along Nuevo, there's a total of 13 existing and 2 which have been approved and entitled but not yet operational. And along the southern portion of the city, along Ethenac, there is a total of 4 which are existing and 2 which have been approved and entitled but not yet operational. So that gives the council a perspective on not just how many existing gas stations there are, but how many gas stations there would be as far as once these gas stations are fully developed and operational. Now, staff reviewed some of the surrounding communities as well as communities throughout the state to try to see what unique development standards or design standards have been applied to these types of uses by other communities. The one thing that we found is that there are a total of 5 cities which have an outright prohibition of new gas stations. There's a total of 3 cities which have limited the number of gas stations per intersection to 2. And there are also an additional 3 cities which have a distance requirement between gas stations that ranges between 500 and 1,000 feet. There was also one community that has a minimum distance to residential. It basically operates as a setback between gas stations and the nearest residentially zoned property, and that requirement is 200 feet. So these are some of the standards that were found through our research that specifically are applied to new gas stations in order to limit their impacts or limit the proliferation of them in just the 10 communities that are reflected on the chart. With that said, based on the approach that's outlined by some of the other cities, the City Council may consider a range of regulatory approaches, including limiting the number of gas stations per intersection, potentially requiring some type of distance requirement between gas stations, requiring a setback between any new or proposed gas station to a residential zone or residential property, or outright prohibition of the land use. City Council at this point has the right to review, discuss, and obviously direct staff to further review this item, should you wish. That concludes the presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions pertaining to this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak from the public?
Yes, sir. Tatiana Flores.
Hello, Mayor and council members. I'll make my comment quick. I support reducing or limiting the amount of gas stations that are in the city. As we saw right now, there's a lot of them, and I feel like the space can be used for other purposes. And I would even extend that to maybe even car washes. Like, I know Moreno Valley's Planning Commission last week, they approved another car wash, and I'm like, bro, there's already so many. So I feel like there's definitely more creativity can be used in these spaces. I think the theater is a really good idea, even though it does come at a cost. It's a space that, the city really needs, some place where community members can come together and really, enjoy those events that you guys are planning to throw there, right? That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Apostle Judge Teresina Terrence Banks Jones.
Good evening. That would be me, Apostle Judge, Superintendent Principal, Sina Terrence Bankshaw Smith McCray. How amazing is it to be here this evening, especially when we're founding so many different businesses with so many different teams. I am aware of all the gas stations that are being built, and the team that is against more gas stations, the team that is for more gas stations. I still want us all to understand genuine safety and no over-policing in the city. As we build, there has been several residents that have been over-policed and profiled and even lied on by our Riverside County Sheriff's Department. So these are things I still want us to understand, that as we do build more and more and more, we do acknowledge who people really are. We do not act like we don't know them, especially with the gas station being a place where people go for genuine safety after they have traveled for a long distance. So I want to still talk about genuine safety, because what I want a lot of people to understand is that when we do actually build a lot of gas stations, it actually is for safety as well, based on the network. So a lot of times when people do actually build a lot of gas stations in a city, it's so that they could actually have a team that is already in the local area that always has an awareness to what's going on in that particular section of the city. So again, genuine safety is what we're really going to need in the city. And I do understand the people who might be against gas stations. However, that is another reason why they have been building so many gas stations in certain cities, due to genuine safety with the actual surveillance and the things that we might need very closely to get this under control, as far as over-policing, harassment, and just making sure we have everything that we need and more than enough for genuine safety, because there are more than one team of genuine safety. I'm from Terracina Fair Housing Ministries. You all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
That is all.
Thank you. Okay, council, discussion, comments, questions? Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to mention a great thank you to our staff for putting this together and bringing back the report. I did notice that there was a few intersections that had the 3 gas stations, and so my thoughts, if council would be amenable to, would be to suggest limiting to 2 gas stations per intersection, just like we've seen, for example, Hoopa Valley did as well. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, just looking at the numbers and the data and how many we have, currently we have 23. We're going to have 31, and our city's coincidentally about 31 square miles. So we're going to have 1 gas station per square mile. I think, you know, some of them are obviously centralized in a certain area, obviously by Ethanac and the 215. We're going to have 6 right there, just in that one area. Less than a square mile. Within the same square mile, you're gonna have 6 of them. You know, obviously makes sense. You're gonna have traffic and stuff like that, and right off the freeway, it does make sense. But I do agree with my colleague, Councilwoman Nava. I think if we limit it to 2 per intersection, and that frees up two of the other ones for development for the future. Yeah, and at the same time, if we could possibly look into, I don't know if we have anything, but limiting the gas stations near schools. Because I do know that in some cities, they limit it because of the alcohol sales. If you tell a gas station you can't sell any alcohol, they're not going to probably build, because they make a lot of the revenue from the alcohol sales. So if we could possibly look into that. I don't know if it's too late, but that's my thoughts. Thank you.
It's time for direction, so we can still come back.
Yeah, I mean, if we could look into something like that. I believe we have something already in there. Is that something you're familiar with, Mr. Fung?
Yeah, there's a special requirement if it's near a school site, so there's an additional assessment.
When do we do that? Because I teach at a school where I could throw a rock at different places where they sell alcohol.
I can't recall. I mean, there's
Not a
some
rock
near
or a tennis ball, whatever,
there's
right?
some that are newer, that are older, that are near school. But I have to look back at the record. I wouldn't.
Rafael, did you have a comment?
Okay.
So typically, when we look at these, the alcohol component, there's 2 components. There's the gas station. Believe it or not every gas station has alcohol. We've actually approved gas stations, and then sometimes they come back because they need to kind of make it work. But whenever you're getting an alcohol approval, typically we look at the track whether they're oversaturated or not. And that's really the level of analysis that we use to make sure that the track's not oversaturated. If it is oversaturated, technically the alcohol license can still be approved if the city makes a finding for a public convenience and necessity. So if there's some type of unique component associated with the use that's necessary, they're allowed to do that. But that would be specifically to the alcohol component. That's not necessarily, it wouldn't necessarily be applicable to gas stations. With regards to this item in relation to gas stations, was not able to find any development standard that would require a clearance from a school specifically.
If I may, Mayor Pro
Please.
Tem.
Go ahead.
The other thing, alcohol for off-site sales at a gas station require conditional use permit. So at that point, we if we get comments or concerns from any school nearby, that can be considered as part of the, whether the city denies or approves the CUP. So there's.
So it's kind of a case by case?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
And my comment was in addition to that, the police are involved too. They get to make a comment as well, so.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I just, if we could possibly look more into that and, see, but if it's a case by case, I get it. But it just, in the past, I think our city has failed our schools because we have alcohol sales right near schools. So it's just in the past, but I guess going forward, I can't do anything about the past, but going forward, thank you.
Councilwoman Vallejo?
Yes, can you go back to I think it's a slide forward, the one where it talks about all the recommendations or something? Or the chart, I mean, yeah, thank you. Oh, that one. Oh, wait, sorry. No, I think it was this one, my bad. No, wait, no, the next one. No, the other one.
That one. Oh, policy options, there we go.
Okay, there you go, thank you. I agree with the rest of my colleagues where we should limit it to 2. I also wanted to ask, how do we gauge the number of gas station between distances? How does that work? And can we also implement a rule where if there's a gas station in a residential area and they're very close by, I don't think we need that. I think 1 is enough. But how do we differentiate how much distance that we can put between gas stations?
That's really at the discretion of the council of this meeting. We can make it at property line or the building, but property line is the typical standard when we set distance between another sensitive use.
If I may, you're referring to how we can add distance requirements to residential, from a residential zone from gas station to a resident. So if you go back to the chart, one of the cities does require a minimum 200-foot setback from any gas station to a residential property. We can also incorporate that if that's the direction of the council tonight.
I think we should implement that as well, because I have noticed that we do have an abundance amount of gas stations in a particular area, and I do think that we need to regroup and refocus on where we should put these gas stations, and also limit it to where we can have other opportunities for growth that would benefit the community regarding something more fun to where the residents can have fun on. But I do think we do have an abundance amount, and I feel like these standards would really help kind of solidify the city to know that we're not having an overuse of gas stations. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, thank you again. I guess going back to that, you did bring up a good point. If you have in Hoover Valley, for example, you're limiting 2 gas stations per intersection, but they also have to be 1,000 feet apart. Is a normal intersection, if you're caddy corner, are you?
So it's a very good question. That's actually one of the items we reached out to one of the cities, and I wasn't able to get clarity on that item. Based on kind of my review of their specific zoning ordinance, my understanding of it is that they apply both. So they would require, let's say, 1,000-foot distance, but they would allow up to 2 in any one intersection. So as long as you're allowed 2, whether you meet that distance requirement or not.
And then from that point, from those 2, then
1,000 or 500-foot distance, or in the case of Councilmember Vallejo, you would also have to comply with a 200-foot distance requirement to a residential zone.
Okay.
If I may comment, so if you have an intersection, usually intersections are probably no more than 100 feet apart. So I'm not sure how they implement the 1,000 feet and 2 per intersection, because a block itself, it's about 300 feet. So, I mean, you're kind of restricting it to, if you go with the 1,000 foot,
Yeah, I
per
think they
intersection's
I think they
very
apply.
tight.
I think they apply a combination. So an intersection you can have 2, And every intersection can have two, and then it's 1,000 feet apart. So let's say there's another intersection that's only 500 feet apart. It has to go another street further.
Another block, more 2 blocks away.
Yeah, so that's how it would work.
So it's 1,000 feet with the exception of 2 per intersection. Because whenever you have multiple gas stations in one intersection, they're always going to be within 1,000 or 500 feet. They're going to be too close to each other. So what they acknowledge that, in some cases, you'll go to an intersection, and it's not uncommon to seeing 4 gas stations on an intersection. So they want to limit the proliferation by intersection, but then after that, they don't want somebody setting up shop necessarily right next door to those gas stations. So they would apply the 500 or a 1,000-foot distance requirement so that, they space them out a little bit.
All right, that's all that's in the queue, so we've got direction to come back with limiting 2 per intersection. Get a little more discussion or feedback on issues surrounding the schools or near the schools, and a distance requirement. Let's get some,
From residential, 200 feet from
just a
residential.
distance requirement, period. Get some ideas of what other cities are doing regarding distance, period.
We can provide options to eventually when this goes to Planning Commission and then bring it back to City Council for final consideration.
Very good. That pretty much covered, unless anybody wants anything else. All right, thank you very much. Okay, 12C is consideration to adopt and propose resolution next in order authorizing and approving the Board of Successor Agency to the Redevelopment Agency of the City of Paris to refund certain 2015 loan and bond obligations of the successor agency and Paris Public Financing Authority. Going to be introduced by Matthew Schenk, our Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. This item will be presented by Jim Fabian from Fieldman, Rowlap and Associates.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. Jim Fabian of Fieldman, Rowlap and Associates. Pleasure to be here tonight. We brought this item in front of the Ways and Means Committee back on February the 6th to discuss the potential refunding of the 2015 tax allocation refunding bonds. Pleased to bring this item forward for City Council's consideration tonight. So back in 2015, the successor agency issued tax allocation refunding bonds that were used to refund prior debt of the redevelopment agency or the successor agency. That was the 2001, 2002, and 2006 bonds. Right now, there's approximately 10.6 million of bonds left from the Series A and 14.7 for the Series B tax allocation refunding bonds. Both bonds are eligible to be prepaid on any date at par or 100%. The payment of the prepayment will refund into fees the 2015A and 2015B bonds. This is the 4th time that the successor agency will be considering refunding bonds. Back in 2015, the successor agency did that also in 2018 and 2019. As part of the disillusionment of redevelopment agencies, there was the prior amendment to AB 1484 that allows successor agencies to refund outstanding debt. And the reason for this is to not only provide property taxes to the city that you get a share of, but also other taxing entities, and we'll show how every taxing entity within the city of Paris benefits from refunding these bonds. Right now, working with the city's staff and underwriters, we are estimating that we're going to have approximately 189,000 or right around 190,000 of annual savings by refunding the 2026 bonds on a tax-exempt basis. This is a little hard to read. I apologize for that. But basically what this shows is that $189,000 a year, the city gets about $28,000 of that dollar based upon your percentage of property tax dollars that you get. Also, all the existing local school districts get their share of the savings that are identified on this slide, and it totals to the $189,000 that is saved by doing this refunding. So there's benefit locally instead of having the money continue to go to Wall Street. So tonight, we have two resolutions in front of you. The first is as the successor agency. We have the resolution approving the issuance of the bonds. This also approves the legal documents that have been prepared by Alshire and Winder, the city's bond counsel. This is the indenture of trust, the escrow agreements, and the bond purchase agreement. Also, you'll be wearing your hat as the Public Financing Authority. You'll be adopting a resolution of the Public Financing Authority to approve the escrow agreements and to approve other actions that would be required to complete the refunding. Looking quickly, going through the bond documents, we have the indenture of trust. This is a contract with the U.S. Bank, sets the terms under which the bonds are refunded, payments are made for the to bondholders in the future, and really specifies the terms, the funds set up, and the other provisions of administering the debt going forward. Then the escrow agreements, we have two of those, one for the 2015A and for the 2015B bonds. They set the terms where you put the money into the escrow. It's a lockbox. It's used to defease the bonds on the call date. We also have a bond purchase agreement that sets the terms under which you, the successor agency, sells the refunding bonds to the city underwriters, Oppenheimer and Company, and Ramirez and Company. It sets the not to exceed underwriter's discount and also provides the conditions, the representations, and opinions required. And then authorizes the designated officers to make any required changes that might be necessary to continue to issue the refunding bonds. The resolution also appoints the financing team. Again, Alshire and Winder as bond counsel, Stradling as the disclosure counsel, HDL Coren and Cone is our fiscal consultant. My firm, Fieldman Rowlap, is the municipal advisor. We have U.S. Bank acting as the trustee and the escrow agent, and then Oppenheimer and Company and Ramirez and Company are the city's successor agencies underwriters on this transaction. So this is the first step in the process. I wish we could move quicker, but it's just the procedure that we have to follow to go through. So with your approval tonight, we would then submit an item to the Riverside County Oversight Board on May 21st. I've already spoken to the clerk there about the approval in front of us tonight for this. I've worked with the city clerk, who was gracious to work with me to get the resolution signed as quickly as we can to send those over to the Riverside County Oversight Board. Again, that meeting is set for May 21st. They don't have a lot of meetings, so it's important to hit that meeting date of May 21st. Once the Oversight Board at the county level approves the resolutions, we then need to send the documents up to the Department of Finance. We do that through a process that we've done. This is the third time we've done it. And I'll be taking the lead on getting the documents up to the Department of Finance. They have up to 60 days to review things and rubber stamp it and approve it. Then while we're waiting for them, we get our underlying credit rating and bond insurance quotes. That'll happen in June. We hopefully will get our Department of Finance approval in July. We'll come back in front of you as the successor agency on July 28th. At that time, we'll approve the preliminary official statement, which is the offering statement that the underwriters will use to sell the bonds to the public. It'll have all the information related to the successor agency, the project areas, the tax increment revenues, and the coverage for the bonds. That would allow us then to go to sell the bonds in August, and then close in August, and then call the bonds in September. So it is unfortunately a prolonged process that is dictated by state statute. Happy to answer any questions. Rick and Mike are here as well. Anita is ill tonight, could not attend, but happy to answer any questions that you have tonight. And again, this is step one of the process to issue the refunding bonds.
Thank you, Fabian. Madam Clerk, do you have any questions to speak?
No, sir.
Council, anybody have any questions or comments? If not, I'll look for a motion on the two resolutions. I have a motion by Councilman Rab, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call the vote.
Thank you.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, 12D, consideration to receive and file and provide input and/or adopt proposed resolution number next in order, supporting Assembly Bill 2083 of the establishment of a Moreno Valley Parish Child Care Special District Act to expand child care capacity. This will be introduced by our city manager, Clara Miramontes.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. This item pertains to Assembly Bill 2083, which is authored by Assembly Member Dr. Corey Jackson. The bill is aimed to create a Moreno Valley Parish Child Care Special District in order to expand child care's capacity. Tonight, we have Mr. Daniel Peden, who's the District and Communications Director from the Office of Assembly Member Corey Jackson, and he's here tonight to provide your presentation and answer any questions you may have. Staff is recommending at the end that the council provide receive and file, and also provide input and/or approve the attached resolution. Mr. Peden, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members and city staff. AB 2083 is a groundbreaking bill that addresses the single largest barrier to economic prosperity for our young families, the lack of accessible and affordable childcare. This bill establishes the first of its kind 5-year pilot program to reimagine childcare as an essential piece of public infrastructure, just like our parks and our libraries. As it relates to the state, only 16% of eligible children in California are actually enrolled in subsidized childcare programs. Out of 2.1 million eligible children, only 350,000 are served. This leaves nearly 1.8 million children, which is 5 out of 6, without any type of assistance. Families are stuck on wait list with no relief in sight because the state has indefinitely paused funding for 130,000 new spaces. This is mostly because of our state deficit that we're currently in. For those who do not find care, the cost is crushing. On average, California families spend up to 45% of their median household incomes just to keep their children in a safe environment while they work. Now, taking a look at Paris, Paris is a much younger than the rest of the state, with a median age of 31.3 and a household size that is nearly 1.5 times the state average, which is a high volume of demand for care. We have approximately 6,000 children under the age of 5 in Paris. Our current infrastructure simply cannot keep up with the demographic growth, leaving thousands of our youngest constituents without stable care options. Paris is the childcare desert, where the math for working parents doesn't add up, while the median income, individual income here is $35,000, the cost of infant care is $21,000. That's an astonishing almost 60% of an individual's income. This means childcare can consume 60% of a parent's gross earnings, effectively forcing parents out of the workforce because they literally cannot afford to go to work. Furthermore, our commuting parents desperately need care outside of traditional 9 to 5 hours, which are currently almost never exist. So 2083 creates a specialized district to coordinate and expand childcare, including 24/7 services to meet the needs for our modern labor markets. This 5-year test is a 5-year test to prove that local focused entity can move faster and more effectively than remote state agencies to build capacity for our residents' needs. The district will be governed by a 5-member board, and the city of Paris will appoint one of those board members, as it states in the bill language. This ensures that policies and service deliveries models used by the district are directly aligned with specific cultural, linguistic, and economic priorities for the City of Paris community. This is probably one of the most important questions that we've been getting from the agencies that are named in this bill regarding the financial safeguards. The most important point for this council, supporting AB 23 does not require the city to provide any funding. That is not in the bill. The bill language is permissive. The city may choose to provide initial support, but it is never legally obligated to do so. The district is a separate legal entity. As I mentioned, the district is the child care district that we're talking about. The City of Paris is not financially liable for any district debts or liabilities. No new taxes or long-term funding can be imposed without direct voter approval. This is zero risk, high reward opportunity for the City of Paris and the city's budget. In conclusion, supporting AB 2083 is a low-risk investment for our human capital. Research shows that every dollar spent on early education generates 3-to-1 returns in long-term economic benefits. Paris can lead the nation in removing the structural barriers that strain our young families. I'm asking, or Assemblymember Jackson is asking for your support for AB 2083 and help us turn childcare from a private burden to a public good. Thank you for your time, and of course I'm open for any questions. And I do also want to add that when you go back a couple slides back, you notice that the amount of burden that it is on families. And if we can take away that burden and put that money back in the pockets of our family, that's better for all of the City of Paris. So again, I'm here for any questions if you may have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Mayor, I'd like to mention that we did get 2 letters of support. One letter is from the Paris Neighbors in Action, and the second letter is from Ismael Gonzalez.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have a request to speak?
Yes, sir. Pastor Abraham Capers Jr.
Mayor, how y'all all doing? I don't think I've been drinking, but I can hear that what he's saying is not true. It's almost like saying that the city is not responsible to pay anything, but I got to pay for your child. That don't make sense. My granddaddy had 26 children, no welfare. He raised all of them. My daddy had 15, raised all of them. My mother died with 10 of us still living. He raised us all, no welfare. I have 8. 3 of them are doctors, no welfare. That's because you have to learn to take time and do what you're supposed to do. They always told me if you have fun getting them, have fun supporting them. Now, do you want to support? The easiest way to say it is, we're all going to have children to take them to the mayor's house, and he have to raise them. Is that fair? So is AB, it's not fair. It's not for people that have real common sense to know that it is taxed later. That's going to be taxes later. The city may not have to pay it, but somebody got to pay it. It's like a credit card. You can charge it today, but somebody got to pay that bill. I wish that I was young enough to have some more kids, take them to your house. That wouldn't be right, would it? Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Lupe Gomez.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm speaking on behalf of my own household. We definitely would be using childcare in our home. We had a child at an older age, and definitely finding childcare is an issue and definitely a priority, especially for safe childcare in our community. The one thing that I'm struggling to understand and why I'm here today is where the funding is coming from, especially because of our current fiscal situation here in the city of Paris. I've done the numbers in my head. I have compared population size with the city of Moreno Valley, the city of Paris. I didn't look too much into the school districts because it's pretty much the same residents on both ends. The city of Moreno Valley is 3 times the size of the city of Paris. Their population size, their budgets are way different than ours. And I'm just still trying to understand, even after today's presentation, because I gave it a chance just to see if maybe there was going to be some answers to my questions as to where the funding is coming from. The representative did mention that there are budget cuts within the state of California, which we're all very familiar with. So again, where is this funding coming from? It does specifically say here that the board of the district may do all of the following, and one of them is budget for compensation and administrative costs. The other one is funding sources and sustainability. So it's here in the short summary that was provided in the agenda, but it's not in the presentation today. And so although childcare is definitely a need that we have, I think that we also need to consider this pilot program as it is and really understand where the funding is coming from. And just like we do with our developers that come in, and we make sure that they answer our questions and make sure that they promise to bring what they're going to bring, we did the same thing with our legislator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Annalie Garcia.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. As a Paris resident, expanding childcare is essential to support our working families. When parents don't have access to trusted care, many families are forced to reduce hours or leave the workforce entirely, creating serious financial burden on their households. AB 2083 offers the opportunity to help families stay stable. When families can work, they can spend locally, and which benefits the entire community. This bill would expand access to flexible childcare options like 24/7 care, as well as home-based and center-based services. These options will be helpful for those families who work non-traditional hours and who are now have limited choices. For these reasons, I ask for your support and vote yes on AB 2083. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tatiana Flores.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again tonight. My name is Tatiana Flores, and I'm here in support of AB 2083. As a former student in the Val Verde Unified School District, my siblings and I often relied on my aunt for childcare while my mom worked long hours as a delivery driver. Formal childcare was simply not affordable, and after-school programs often ended long before she even returned home. So we were fortunate to have family support, but that's not a reality for all families that live in Moreno Valley, Paris, and the Mid-Valley area. Without accessible childcare, parents are forced to make difficult decisions, whether that's paying higher costs for childcare, leaving the workforce altogether. AB 2083 helps address this by expanding childcare options and supporting families who are already working hard just to make ends meet. And this bill itself would strengthen existing childcare infrastructure while also addressing the needs of working families with non-traditional schedules, as was mentioned in the presentation. Something that's especially important here in commuter communities like Moreno Valley and Paris, because people often do have to drive even past their work schedules to even get back home. So the long travel times and rising costs of living continue to strain households, and this is just another way that we can, ease that burden on families. Something that I also think would be beneficial for the council itself, having childcare 24/7 could potentially even allow for more residents to actually show up to these meetings and, talk about what's on the agenda. Sometimes they have kids, they have events, that sort of thing, so they can't be here at this time. And I've also heard the council speak about the importance of increasing local spending in various city council meetings that I have attended, especially in regards to Harvest Landing. So supporting childcare is one way to really make that happen. When families save on essential expenses like childcare, they have more money to actually invest back into the local economy, whether that's groceries, services, small businesses, or even entertainment. Not only would this be an investment in your constituents and their families or your neighbors in Moreno Valley, it would also be an investment in the future of Paris, because there will be more stability. Children would have more opportunities to prosper. And like I mentioned, adults would actually have more time to actually come to these meetings. And again, it's just adding to something that already exists. So I urge you to support AB 2083 and stand with working families here in the community of Paris and Moreno Valley. Thanks.
Thank you.
That is all.
Thank you. Councilman Rab, you're on the queue.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. Reading over the agenda packet and the proposed bill, I had a few concerns under the proposal would, if enacted, would enact a Welfare and Institutions Code 10493.6 subdivision V, which reads, "The Board of the District shall call and conduct an election consistent with applicable law to seek voter approval for funding mechanisms necessary to establish and operate the district." I think if we support this, I think childcare is a very important issue. It's an issue that affects multiple people. But by supporting this resolution and ultimately seeing this JPA get enacted, we are creating a funding mechanism or funding agency that has the ability to tax our residents. Funding mechanisms necessary could be a bond. It could be a bond on your property. It could be an increase in the sales tax. If our measures pass this upcoming election, and this passes as a sales tax measure, and RCTC passes, we could see a 10% sales tax in the city of Paris. My issue and concern with this funding mechanisms necessary is that you could have a sales tax increase, you could have a bond increase on your property. So when your property tax bill comes, there's a bond increase. We have no information on the scope of the services that this bill is enact. It says universal, but we don't have studies saying how many kids within the Paris and Moreno Valley, and that also includes unincorporated Paris, Good Hope, and Meade Valley, how many children are going to be in these programs, the scope of the programs, the cost of the programs, the extent that we're going to have to extend these funding mechanisms. So we could have a situation where people who aren't going to be using these programs, senior citizens, people who don't have any children, people that have made arrangements with their spouse to stay home, take lesser salary, to live on the Dave Ramsey beans and rice schema, they will all be contributing to that. Now, I know some people are saying, well, it's like the schools, but the schools are mandated by the state of California in the education code. I think it's severely unfair to force people to, and then the counterpoint may say, well, these are given voter approval. If this is placed on the ballot, it will be placed on the ballot if this district is increased. It says shall. This is placed on the ballot. You'll have numerous actors who will have a financial interest in ensuring that this succeeds. So you will have the staff that has been hired. You will have child care facilities. You will have people that will have their hands wanting to get this passed. They will all be funding independent expenditures to get this passed. They will give flowering language. They won't say tax increase. They won't say a bond on your property. They won't say a sales tax increase. They won't say that, you will be funding other people's children. It will say funding mechanisms. It will say a shortfall in services. There will be mailers coming out. So I think in terms of the language, it sounds really good, but this will result in a tax increase on our residents, either a sales tax increase or an increase in their property tax. Now, some people might say it's only $100 a year. $100 a year, if you don't pay that $100, and over the course of 5 years, the county assessor can come and take your property that you've worked hard on. I think the counterpoint that some of my colleagues may say, well, this is a needed program, and this is not to demean childcare. Childcare is needed, people need it. There's lack of services. But the last time the city of Paris enacted a JPA was in June 12, 2018. The council voted 4-1, I was the one person against it, to join Western Community Energy. Anybody remember Western Community Energy? With RCOG, it was guaranteed a 2% reduction in our electric bills, 2% reduction. It went on board early 2020, COVID hit, there were a lot of people were getting wacky bills, their bills were going up $300-400, and ultimately, Western Community Energy was disbanded. So I'm not saying this situation is here, but I think we do have to factor in those circumstances regarding that. I think there are a lot of holes. We don't know how many children are going to be in this program. We don't know the amount of services in this program. It says universal, but we're not guaranteed that it will be universal. If this program gets enacted, what's the guarantee that they scale it back, saying, okay, 2 parents, you each make $150,000 a year. You make too much for this program. But your taxes, your property is still bonded. It's still bonded to finance this. They keep scaling it back so where it's, a family of 5 under 60,000. And then, we pat ourselves on the back saying we've guaranteed this child care. I think those are issues in terms of the scope, in terms of also how do we ensure that other residents in other jurisdictions won't be using these programs? How do we ensure that the families that live in Lake Elsinore but pass through Paris won't give a fake address so they can use this free childcare program? And also, I think the other issue is that I'm concerned about is Paris, Moreno Valley. Why wasn't San Jacinto included in this as well? It is in the Assembly District. So those are my concerns. The language sounds good. I know people are going to say WRAB doesn't support childcare. I do support extending childcare, but I do not support making it a right that other people have to, their properties have to get bonded. They have to increase their sales tax to support a program. We're creating a permanent government. I know it sunsets in 5 years, but we will have to hire staff. And then the other question would be too, it calls that we shall call for an election. Now, I know there's talk of 5 million coming from the state. If that 5 million doesn't come from the state, who is going to be on the hook for financing the election in the various municipalities? Now, Paris, to finance a citywide election would at least be $100,000, depending on where it is. Moreno Valley, they would have to finance a election. And then the question comes, what about the areas of unincorporated sphere of influence of Paris? Meade Valley, Good Hope, that are in the Paris Elementary School District. So it sounds like a good idea. We're getting this JPA to provide childcare for people. We're going to have funding mechanisms. But ask yourself this, if you lived in California, when has a state mandated program actually worked that's been designated in California over the last 25 years? We say we were going to get high-speed rail. I was a freshman, a one-year law student when the high-speed rail bond measure was passed in 2008. Nearly 20 years later, I've been a lawyer for over 14 years, almost 15 years, nearly 40 years old. You go down State Route 99, all you see is those trestles, a monument to failure. So I think we really have to really consider what we are doing moving forward here today. It sounds good. It sounds like a great idea, like, okay, we're going to get this together. But also, if we are taxed, either the sales tax or do an increase in our property tax, it's not going to be like the state's going to say, well done, Paris and Moreno Valley residents. Here's a refund for the amount that you're paying for that. So it'll create an increased tax revenue. So I think those are all things we have to consider as a city council up here. We represent the residents of the city. We should put aside any sort of political interest that may be in the background and advocate for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Guess nobody else wants to make any comments. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to say thank you to the speakers. It was very insightful. I did actually have some questions after some of the speakers had. I don't know when would be the right time. Is that right now?
No, this is the time.
Okay, can I ask? So currently, as of right now, just for transparency, has the Assemblyman secured funding?
So that's in the state budget process, so we won't know until the governor signs a budget, which is sometime in June.
Okay, and he's asking for $5 million?
He's pushing, well,
Initial
for
cost?
context, Assemblymember Jackson is the chair of Subcommittee 2 in Human Services, so this falls in his purview. He is requesting $5 million for a special district fund with LAFCO. And if that is approved by the governor, then this district, when it's created, will basically request those funds for the startup capital.
Okay, and if those funds are not collected or secured? What would be what's the process then?
As it says in the bill that's written, it basically says that you guys may, or any agency that's a part of this board may contribute funds. That is not shall, that is may. You don't have to do anything. And if you choose not to, then the district just sits there until there's funding for startups. And if it continues that way until 5 years, then it dissolves and it goes away. It doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all the questions I have. For the rest are just kind of comments. I was just kind of going through the bill and talking to residents and talking to people. Childcare is an issue. It's an issue. I have a young child. I send him every day to a babysitter, and he's there because I work and his mother works as well too, and it's just a situation that we live in. Now I understand. I have grandparents that had great grandparents that had 15 kids, right? And they raised them on a ranch and stuff like that. It's not like that anymore. The price of childcare has gone up about 3 times more than what the price of inflation has gone up to. So it's not like it was back in the 80s. It's not like it was back in the 90s. Now, my parents, who both worked as well too, they had kids at one time that were all in elementary. And when we would come home, we'd come to a babysitter. And she wasn't well paid. And I'm going to be, for full disclosure, she wasn't even documented. But we loved her. She took care of us. She fed us. She helped us out. My mother to this day would say, if this happened now, I don't know what I would do, because there's no way I could afford what childcare costs. Because I know what my brothers are paying for childcare. I know what I pay for childcare. And I know what other people who make less money than I do pay for childcare. And it's very, very difficult. As the data was saying, people are spending up to 45%, maybe even more, on childcare costs. And it's becoming very difficult. You do have to make the decision whether you stay at home and starve or live off welfare, which you're paying anyways for them, or you have them go to a person, a babysitter or a child care facility where the mother and father, right, because even fathers have to sometimes decide to stay at home. They have to decide whether to go to work. And so it's very difficult. So we can't compare what it was, 3 generations ago or even 15 years ago, right? So I do want to commend Assemblymember Dr. Corey Jackson for at least bringing this issue up, and because I know I brought this up to him. I know other elected officials in the area also brought it up to him, and it's an issue. It is an issue. Now, keep in mind, this isn't for me. My son, next year, he'll be at TK, so I won't even see any benefits of this. But just like paying for taxes for schools, when your kids have already graduated high school, that's a benefit for everybody in the community. We want people who are educated. We want children who are educated. The same thing, we want people to be taken care of in a safe facility or safe home where they get where they're fed correctly, where they're going through the first 5 years, which are so crucial for a young child to go through. And we see this because when TK comes around, those parents are excited. They're like so relieved that finally they have a place where they don't have to spend money. So we're treating the schools as almost a child care facility, especially TK. What are these, 4-year-olds? My son's gonna be 4 years old. He'll start TK next year. And I gotta be honest, we're happy. We're happy to save the money. We're very happy. Now, do I wish I made a lot of money? And I'm sure my wife wishes I made so much money where she could stay at home. But the reality is, if we want to live our lifestyle, we both work, and that's just the reality of where we're at. We also see for after school programs. So some of these TKs doing it at 12:30, and who could just take off from work at 12:30 and go pick up your kid? So there's after school programs, and there's so high demand. There's a wait list for these after school programs to essentially take care of the kids after school. Because I remember the days when I was 8 years old or 9 years old, maybe my babysitter wasn't there. I was at home alone. Me and my brother were just home alone, just nobody else there. I mean, we could have started a fire. Nobody would have been there. So childcare is definitely needed. It's very, I think we all know that. Now, I am hesitant. I am hesitant, as my colleague, Councilman Rabb stated, right? The state often isn't the best for implementing programs. We saw that what they implemented with homeless, right? Where tens of $30 billion just squandered to nonprofits And so I am hesitant. I'm concerned about how this is. But I do like that it is a smaller coalition. It's 5 entities. You have 2 cities, and you have 3 school districts. And all of us, we all sit on boards. And I'm confident to say that some of the boards we sit on, most of the boards we sit on, are very well maintained, very high functioning. RTA, for example, that's an organization that runs very good. Within our own subcommittees, I know that we started the homeless subcommittee. People, I'm sure, probably saw a waste of time with that. I'm sure people say, hey, what's the point of a subcommittee when there's still homeless out there? Well, what if there wasn't a homeless subcommittee? I guarantee we'd have more problems because we do address the issues that the residents bring to us. So I am optimistic to say that having a smaller group would actually do more value than harm. But I was a little hesitant. I did bring that up in my notes here about 6B, and just for confirmation, I think you said it multiple times, but the cities are not mandated to pay. If there's no funding, there's no the city was not mandated to pay it, correct? Okay. And then so with that, I am open, being that to approving sending one of our elected officials to start the conversations with the other entities, with the 4 other entities, one from Marina Valley and each from each school districts that represent this area, of at least starting the conversation whether it makes sense to even move forward. Because I'm not sure. I mean, we're all people that care about our taxpayers and our residents and the parents, and we'll take that all into consideration. And maybe it's not the best thing, but I will say this: I don't think it moves forward unless somehow we could secure the funding. Otherwise, we're just kind of sitting there. So I guess going back to the question, do we need to, you're saying that we would need to approve the district before he can even ask for the funding?
So there's two items in the legislature right now. Obviously, the budget, the state budget, that budget ask is going through the process right now. The May revise is coming up pretty soon. And then you have AB 2083, which is a totally different thing. AB 2083 as of right now is moving right on through committees, perfectly fine. It should be going into the Senate pretty soon after the House of Origin is done, I think, this Friday. So it's moving along. And if it passes the Senate, then it's going to go to the governor. It's going to be signed, and then this bill's law. So you would appoint somebody on that board, and it would move forward. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay.
So to answer your question, we don't need the funding to start the district.
We could get a district, but it would just have no funding. It would just sit there doing nothing.
Yeah, and that's why we made it a 5-year program, which is something that LAFCO recommended, to do a 5-year pilot so that we can see if we can get the funding for startup, et cetera. And then if we do that, then we can, eventually after the 5 years, the district can reapply with LAFCO.
Okay.
And LAFCO is the board that basically creates special districts in the state of California.
Okay. So by joining the board, joining a district, we're not committing to really anything besides one of us have to give a few hours of their time a month. Is that correct?
That's correct. You wouldn't be committing anything until there's startup funds, right? You would need staff to operate the board, et cetera. So until those funds are created, then the board would essentially just be stagnant until there's initial funding.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr.
startup.
Peden. Thank you. So I don't think we're committing to anything. I understand, right? People are concerned about, hey, we're moving that direction, and that might be the case. But we sit on committees for public transportation. I mean, certainly childcare should be up there. We also sit on our own subcommittees. So I see this as a kind of a local subcommittee of the sorts, and so I'm open to do it. If one of my colleagues want to sit on there, I'm open to that too. But that just decides if we have the majority.
We're not there yet.
Right. Okay.
We need to move on.
Go
Elizabeth?
ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I do agree with what my colleague, Councilmember Corona, has stated. I do believe, which one point that he did mention that I think is that makes so much sense is, we're already paying school bonds for students to have these really nice, beautiful schools. And I don't see it any different to what is being presented to us now. I personally do not have any children. but I'm more than willing to see what we can do to provide public goods and services for our residents. You know, that is what we're here for. We're here so then we can try to make all these services easier for our residents, and they don't have to carry that burden. And from what Daniel was mentioning earlier, this is a very low risk investments. You know, like we're not tied to anything. If we were to get the money, then we can't do something about it. But even if we get, like, even if Dr. Jackson gets $3 million instead of the 5, that's $3 million that we could still help and serve our local neighbors to have success for them and for their children as well. And I feel like there's nothing tied to anything. All the language shows that it's may, and it says that we can or we can't do it. And I did like how Daniel mentioned in the beginning how he said that if we do not have any money, we can leave it there and we could let it dissolve by the time it is year 5. And I think it is a very, very important bill to pretty much really connect with, because if we really all think about it, this is something that we can actually control locally. We have the power, we have the opportunity to how we can gauge it. And I did like Councilmember Rab's questions on who is going to get it, because those are very important questions to ask, like who would get it, how many people. But I think that is the point of this board, is we are going to have a board of elected officials from school boards and cities, and there we can decide as a whole on what we think is best. The only question that I had for you, Daniel, is regarding the 4 other entities, who has approved this?
So Val Verde Unified, 5-0 votes in support. Paris Elementary, 5-0 in support. Moreno Valley Unified School District, they're actually taking it up right now, having the same discussion you're having. Anticipate it will be supported based on all my conversations. City of Moreno Valley did not support the resolution that they brought forward. It doesn't mean that they're not supporting the bill. There's no strong opposition towards the bill at this moment. So,
Thank you so much for that. But like I said, and like I mentioned before, if we have the opportunity to provide something for our residents with low risk and not a cost, as of right now, there is no cost. It's if we get the $5 million, we can do it. I think that is a no-brainer for me, and that is easy for me to move forward with. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rab?
Thank you once again, Mayor Vargas. I have a quick question for Mr. Peden. It's just a hypothetical. Say the $5 million, the LAFCO approves the bill passes, the LAFCO approves the JPA. However, the $5 million isn't secured. The bill, how I'm reading the Welfare and Institutions Code, is that the election for the financing would be mandated. Have there been discussions about who will foot the bill for the election if that scenario happens? Say there's no money from the state, the LAFCO approves it, or would it be would you pump the brakes before the city formally joins the JPA?
So the shell in that part of the section of the bill is basically stating that by law you have to go to the voters to tax them. Like that's basically what it's saying. It's not saying that they have to in a year do a tax. It's saying that by law this district does not have legal authority to tax people based on a board vote. They have to take it to the voters. That's what it's saying. It's not. So I think I'm making that clear. The district, the special district, is not going to have a time frame of when they have to go and tax somebody, or put it to the voters. This is basically just mandating that that's the way the board can tax. They cannot just do it by a majority vote. That's what it's.
I must have misread it because my reading of that shell was that they shall, once the board is formed, go to the voters to seek funding, just based on when you see subdivision B1, you go down to 2, and 2 says long-term funding mechanisms shall not be imposed without voter approval. So I read it, that first shell as like, hey, the board's formed, they have to go to the voters to get the funding, not that just saying that the funding is required by the voters.
Yeah, we're basically saying, we needed to put that in the bill to make it very clear on what authority the special district has, making it very clear, and I think that was a recommendation from LAFCO to make sure we put that in there so everybody understands that they do not have the authority to tax just based on a majority vote. They have to send it to the voters.
Okay. My last question, regarding the funding mechanisms, have there been discussions about the funding mechanisms that, I know the board ultimately would decide this, but would it be a property tax increase or a property tax bond or a sales tax increase?
That is not up to Dr. Jackson. Dr. Jackson's not on this board. That's up to the local community. This is like it's local control on childcare. That's up to you guys who you appoint, and those decisions that are made by the special district.
Okay. And then one final question. Regarding the director position, are there any analogous boards in this area or in Southern California? And how much are those directors making per year? Do you happen to know?
Oh, I don't have that information.
Okay.
I mean, that would be up to the board, the special district, to do their own analysis, get a consultant, and do the right type of hiring practices.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Councilwoman Alba?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Assembly Dr. Corey Jackson's team for leading this initiative. And a great thank you to all the speakers who've shared your thoughts on this matter. And for the record, TODEC would also like to express their support. They just weren't able to make it here on time. My question is, are there any other alternatives for funding explored besides taxing the voters?
Again, that would be up to the special district. I mean, potentially, maybe if our budget gets better in the state of California, there's opportunities there. Perhaps in the federal government, there's opportunities there. I mean, that's what I would say. I don't.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously I have my reservations there. And typically I would encourage the voters to make these types of decisions. However, I know childcare is definitely needed, but based on some of the comments that were made by my colleagues, I am hesitant to explore that as the only and ultimate way of financing. I have a 2-year-old, and I would be happy to serve on the board as a parent. I feel like that's a very important, I guess, title you should have if you are coming to this. But then I am also concerned about decision making. I don't have the best words to put it, but childcare is a very sensitive topic, and I think you need the good experts in the room to help come up with creative solutions. And I wish there would be more disclosure as to this board would serve in seeking ways and exploring options and the different types of discussions that would be had. But I am reserved on just taxing the voters directly as the only solution to this. So those are just some thoughts I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go up, Daniel. Let me talk now. So, a couple of things, and then I'll let you sit down. Does the bill language reference a 5-year pilot
Yeah.
in the actual bill
Yeah, that was
language?
put in by LAFCO. It's towards the end of the bill.
My big concerns, I think you can go ahead. Well, no, one more question, then you can sit down and I'll make my comments. Why wasn't Paris Union High School District part of this? Any particular reason?
There, no specific reason. Dr. Jackson, it was a five appointed board special district. I think if I was to assume, I would think it would be where you would only have like 2 entities in Moreno Valley and 3 in the city of Paris, or I think or actually be more than that. Oh, we would have to remove somebody, right, to add them. So there's no really reason on why that took place.
Okay, thank you. Now you can sit down.
Yeah, no problem.
I have issues with the word may. I know it's not permissive, and I know it's not or it's permissive, not mandatory, but it still leaves an open check there. Ultimately, after this first 5 years is up, then what? It's going to go to the voters, and they're going to have to fund this. And JPAs, what's scary about JPAs is the moment one agency cannot, so hypothetically, you go beyond your 5 years, if this gets funded, if if Dr. Jackson even gets the $5 million, you exhaust that, now it's, okay, now what? If there's no grants, if nothing available, you're gonna go, the board's gonna decide, they're gonna go after the voters to make a decision how they're gonna fund this. My point is with the JPA, it may be great the first year or two with 5, whatever it is, but the moment one agency drops out, now what? Now the burden's gonna be on 4 agencies, and if a third drops out, you know what I'm saying, it's just gonna keep on going down. I asked about the school district, 5-year pilot. So that's pretty much really about it for me. I've got 8 grandkids. I have 4 daughters. I'm beyond paying for a sitter, but I did that. I also had a stay-home wife, so that helped a lot. None of us up here are against childcare. I think this is a great concept of what Dr. Jackson came up with. The key question here, as I indicated before in his office and up in Sacramento, is funding. This funding mechanism is not secured. And yes, it's a 5-year pilot, but after this pilot's there, it's either going to go away or someone's going to have to fund this. And if it's not the voters, it could be the agencies. We don't know. And it's just I can't support uncertainties. With that, Councilwoman Nava.
Just another quick comment that, while you were making your comments, you're dealing with people's precious babies, right? The way that parents deal with I imagine it is my heart living outside of this world, right? So Dr. Corey Jackson should also provide more information about insurances, lawsuits. Again, we're dealing with a very sensitive topic, and I don't believe that was addressed anywhere, and one incident can definitely deplete funding. So just something to consider. I believe there's several holes listed here, and I would like some more information as to, some of the questions and comments that were made here. For example, we still don't know why San Jacinto isn't on the table and why Paris High School wasn't included in this. And I was assuming maybe they're a little older, and that's why childcare wasn't really something that would pertain to that district. But I feel like there's several holes, and again, like I said, I'm happy to offer my thoughts as a parent, and I guess as a council member as well. But again, my reservations is this will directly go to a vote, and I wish there was other options to explore funding. So those are my thoughts.
All right,
Thank you.
this item is just receive and file and to provide any direction or to staff, or if you'd like to call for a motion on a resolution. So at this time, this topic is strictly about a resolution, so I'm asking anybody wants to make a motion, or we just continue this conversation.
So quick comment. I'm thinking that Councilwoman Nava, for example, she's maybe more or less open to it, but it's just not. It's kind of vague.
Right.
Okay. So are we saying, hey, come back with the resolution?
We're all vague. Basically,
we're not trying to run a childcare, right? We're trying to find mechanisms for financing childcare, to helping our residents with childcare, right? But we're not trying to get in the business of childcare. I read the bill. It doesn't say anything about that, correct? Is that? Yeah. So that's kind of a concern. But that would be the purpose of the district deciding if it is created, right? They would decide. And keep in mind, one of those people would be a member from here or future council. So yeah, I do have questions, and I guess that would be the purpose of having the district, so we could kind of address that. But I do see that our school districts, the elementary school districts, who deal with the smaller children, they do see a benefit for their residents, because they have to deal with after school, essentially childcare, right? It's after school programs, but it's essentially childcare, and so they do see the need for that. So I do agree with our school districts in that aspect. But no, I don't think we should be getting into that. But that needs to be discussed when the district is created, not discussed before.
okay, again, we're looking for a direction or if someone wants to make a motion. You're making a motion on the resolution as it is? So we have a motion by Councilman Corona, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Corona, second by Councilwoman Vallejo. Call the vote.
Corona Vallejo, yes. Nava Rab Vargas, no.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 13 is council communications. Councilman Rab.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. Given the lateness of the hour, I'll defer communications for this meeting.
Thank you, Councilwoman Vallejo.
I just wanted to thank staff and all the community members who came and spoke today. Lastly, I just want to mention that if anyone wants to come to the Boys and Girls Club Pickleball Tournament, it's going to be Saturday at 8 a.m. at Fossville Park. Me and Ernie are partners, and we're going to beat everyone here. I feel like our studio is going to lose this time, just saying in my opinion. But please come out and support, because we are always here to support the community and all the organizations involved. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to thank everyone for participating in tonight's meeting. I also want to give credit to our city staff for hosting a wonderful health fair this year. And thank you to all our Paris residents who were able to attend. And then I also participated in Arbor Day. Again, a great thank you to the staff, the YAC volunteers, and everyone who made that event a success. And those are all my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to apologize for the last meeting. I mentioned that we should close the meeting in honor of Dolores Gonzalez, but what I really meant was Barbara Gonzalez, which is the mother of Dolores who passed away. My heart goes out to the Gonzalez family. Arbor Day, great. Thank you all the residents and all the volunteers that participated in that. We planted dozens of trees, dozens of plants. Everyone seemed to have a good time. I did miss you. I think I was busy planting trees. No, but it was a great event for the kids. The little kids got to get their hands dirty, and just great event for the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate with the others about the fun run and health fairs. It was very successful this year. It just gets bigger and better every year, so thank you to everybody. With that, I will pass on and go to item 14, City Manager's Report.
Thank you. Just one item to report. This Saturday, May 2nd, the City of Paris will host its 4th annual Cinco de Mayo event. The celebration begins at 12 p.m. after the pickleball tournament. That's my report.
Thank you. Okay, folks, we're at item 15 is our adjournment. I want to thank everybody for coming out, all our speakers. Thank you for taking the time to come out and address your concerns. We are adjourned at 9:13 p.m.